Call this meeting to order. And at this time, if you're able, please stand for our national anthem, followed by our land acknowledgement.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command, car ton bras s'est porté l'épée, il s'est porté la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on God for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on God for thee.
The Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations such as the Hattaway-Wendourok, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Port Colborne stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
At this time, if I could have Councillors Bodner and Hoyle move that the council agenda dated May 12th, 2026 be confirmed as circulated. Councillor Aquilina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I put in a request for item 11.3C to be moved further up into the session, please?
Yeah, so we'll take the delegation that goes along with that, which is item 8, and the corresponding report, we'll move it. We'll put that after disclosures of interest under before presentations where proclamations would go. We don't have any proclamations, so okay. Move it to there. Is that fine?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
So for those that are in the audience, we're moving up to the top. Seconder, Councillor Bodner, you're fine with that? Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Councillor Bodner. Adoption of the agenda as amended. Everybody's fine with that? Okay. All those in favor of the agenda? That's carried. Are there any disclosures of interest this evening? Okay, seeing none. So at this time, we have Mr. Jim Nichols of 27 Runnymede Road in Port Colborne is a delegation with regards to our dog bylaw. So if Mr. Nichols wants to come forward for his delegation, come on up to the podium. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Jim Nichols. I live at 27 Runnymede. And I'm here to seek an exception to keep my 4 dogs home together for the rest of their natural life. They're a bonded group of dogs. They affect many people's lives. I'm also the superintendent at Port Colborne Country Club, and they come to work with me every day. That's my contingent of treat ladies over there. Allows you to register 4 dogs, so I didn't realize there was a limit of 3 dogs. We were reported for a minor noise violation, which occurred in the winter when it was very cold. I believe my dogs just weren't getting the same activity they were used to. And the other thing we've done to remedy that is making sure we make their last call earlier in the evening. Because that's, as far as I can tell, that's when the complaint was. They were let out too late at night. They are also working dogs. Two of my dogs I have specifically to chase the geese at the golf course. And there's also, in the bylaw, I think there should be a difference for the size of dogs. My dogs, all four together, don't weigh 100 pounds. Someone could have 300 or 120 pound German Shepherds, and that's the same as my dogs. So, other than that, I've got my 4 dogs over there if anybody needs to meet them. I included pictures in my submission. That's about all I have to say.
Great, Mr. Nichols, appreciate that, thank you. Any questions to the presenter before the report comes on the floor? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So if I could have Councilors Aquilina and Bodnar move that the Building and Bylaw Service Department Report 2026-73 be received and the council approve an exemption of the city's dog control bylaw 4930/155/06 to permit 4 dogs at 27 Runnymede Road, subject to the following additions. The exemption applies only to 27 Runnymede Road. The total number of dogs shall not exceed 4, and the applicants are not permitted to replace the first of their existing dogs that is lost to any cause, natural or otherwise. All dogs shall continue to be licensed and maintained in accordance with the dog control bylaw, and the dogs shall not create a nuisance and mitigating factors be put into place to ensure no issues arise. And the exemption may be revoked in the event of verified complaints or non-compliance with the above. Councillor Aquilina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have an issue at all with the report. I'm in support of this. But when I read the report, I did kind of like a deep dive because I was trying to figure out, because it was the first time I was aware that it was a cap of 3 dogs. So I was trying to figure out where that cap came from, and then I did a search, and it seems like it's the standard across most municipalities in Ontario. Then I went on to our city website, and that was like another dive into the dark ages. It was so hard to find. So when I went to look for the dog license, I was able to find that, and then it, directed you to, if you had more than 3 dogs, you had to apply for a kennel license. So then I went to find the kennel licenses, and the first 2 items that pop up are for new applications for a kennel license that are $84. Then a little further down, it's a 2022 kennel renewal license and a new application license for a kennel, and that was $86. Then further down from there, it was like Appendix B dog licenses, where it had like a rate for 2025, 2026 of $110 and $115, and then further down, 2022 to 2023. So it was confusing for me. So any resident who's trying to search for something, I don't know if there's a way that we can remove the applications that are no longer applicable to the sites. But then when I opened up the application for the kennel license, there's the 3 requirements that you have to have the letter of intent, and then you have to have a site plan for the existing or proposed structures that are going to take place. But then the third one says that you have to have purebred dog certifications. So in order to have a kennel, do you have to have only purebred dogs, or is there something else towards that? Sorry, I should have directed it to you, Madison.
So we do have a series of questions here. So
Okay.
Something you said earlier, I'm going to have the CAO jump in
Okay,
with regards to what's on our current website.
okay.
CAO?
Yeah, through the mayor to the councillor. So the city is updating its website. So as part of that, we're doing an inventory. Your points are great because they'll help us with that inventory. The city should have a new website live by September. And that, I've seen a prototype. It will be a lot easier to find things going forward, which will be, I think, welcome by many.
Okay, that's perfect.
So, and then on your next questions,
Yes.
bylaws, please.
Through the mayor to the councillor, to answer your question with regards to the purebred, that is a requirement under our kennel licensing bylaw at this time. But specifically to this report is here with us today, the applicants will not be getting a kennel license for such. They're looking for the exemption to permit an additional dog, which takes away the need for any kennel license. They actually wouldn't be qualified to receive a kennel license anyway, because based on where their property is located, they're in the urbanized area, and we only issue kennel licenses for agricultural properties. So in this situation, they're looking to be permitted one additional dog under the dog control bylaw, but they will not be issued a subsequent kennel license to have the 4 dogs. I hope that clears that up.
It does. So going forward, and this is for the public as well, if you have more than 3 dogs, you don't necessarily need to apply for a kennel license. You would need to apply for an exemption to have more than 3 dogs on your property. Is that correct?
Staff?
Through the mayor to the councillor, exactly. So in a situation where somebody wants to operate an actual kennel, they would go through the process of the kennel licensing. The requirement to have, like, the situation to have more than the allotment of dogs under the bylaw, it's specific in the bylaw that that's only an exemption for compassionate care animals. So we don't just allow anyone that has additional dogs just because they want to have more dogs. It is specific, but that there has to be reasons behind that for compassionary reasons. And that is true that they do have to go through the exemption in order to have that application come through this exact process that's here with us today.
Counselor?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Counselor. Further questions? Counselor?
Thank you. I certainly, in all the years of being a counselor, have never had any complaints from that area. In fact, I didn't even know Jim had dogs. It's been, everybody in that neighborhood is pretty close, at least they always were, but there's changes in the neighborhood. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Madison. Just out of an abundance of sort of caution, I wouldn't want someone to use the opportunity beyond the reality of dogs barking as can happen in bylaw, neighbors sometimes being neighbors or neighborhood. And so the concept of a complaint would still be investigated. Like, I wouldn't want to see this opportunity putting people on notice that, you know, they can just complain once. It has to be bona fide and verified, and just wondering how you go about that process.
Staff?
Through the mayor to Councillor Bruno, exactly. We do have to have a verified complaint in order to move forward. With specific for our animal issues, the enforcement is done through the Niagara SPCA. So any complaint that's received, it goes over to their office first for full investigation. And so they'll do that if they have grounds to believe that there's a violation. They can proceed with issuing penalties or whatever steps they need to take. I can speak specifically in this situation for our applicants that there was only one complaint. It was a verified complaint. However, at the time of inspection, there was no violations observed. Everything was dealt with at the time. The only violation, sorry, I should be specific, that there was no violations with any noise. However, the only thing that did come up at the time was that it was confirmed that there was more than the allowed of dogs, and there was 4 dogs on the property.
Thank you, Counselor. Further questions? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. You're all set. Thank you. Thank you very much. Knock that one off. So next we have our presentations. We have 3 presentations this evening. Our first presentation is a Lifetime Achievement Award. If I could ask Mr. Zwiep to meet me over at the podium. So good evening, everyone. It is truly an honor to take a moment to recognize someone who has made an incredible impact on the Port Colborne community. And are many people fortunate enough to know him. He's always had a strong pulse on this community, being deeply invested in its people, its traditions, and its future. For years, he has been the kind of person who simply shows up, whether it's volunteering, supporting local events, or stepping in wherever a helping hand is needed. And that commitment didn't end with retirement. If anything, it only grew stronger. He continues to give back through his work with the Port Colborne Historical and Marine Museum, his role in the executive of the Port Colborne Bocce Club, and his involvement with the Sports Wall of Fame inductee committee. He is known for his reliability and integrity, the kind of person neighbors trust and turn to when something needs to get done. A quiet leader who never seeks recognition, yet consistently makes a meaningful impact. And if you ask anyone who knows him, they'll tell you he's never been one to say no. His answer is always yes. How can I help? I hear it all the time from this gentleman. But beyond his contributions to the community, he is above all a devoted family man. As a father, he led by example, instilling the values of hard work, kindness, and responsibility. He was always present, whether cheering from the sidelines, helping with school projects, or offering steady guidance through life's more difficult moments. He created a foundation of support and encouragement that made his family feel grounded, capable, and confident. And then, of course, there was the one most cherished roles, being a grandfather. To his grandsons, the Valley Health and Wellness Center is proudly known as Papa's Arena, a reflection of both his legacy and the pride they feel in him. As a grandpa, he creates lasting memories through stories, laughter, and endless patience. He shows unconditional love, making each grandchild feel uniquely valued and understood, while sharing the life lessons and values that will stay with them forever. When we look at his life, what stands out most to us is not just what he has done, but how he has done it. With consistency, humility, and genuine care for others, he has shaped the lives of those around him, not through grand gestures, but through decades of quiet dedication and kindness. He truly embodies the spirit of Port Colborne, representing the very best of what this community stands for. And in doing so, he leaves behind a lasting legacy in his family, in this community, and in the values he passed on to all of us. At this time, I'm going to call Greg Zwiep forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here this evening to be a part of handing out this award to Tom. I started in my role as a manager of recreation in 2023, and one of the first things that was passed on to me is you should have a conversation with Tom Lannon. I was a little bit intimidated. My workplace is at the T.A. Lannon Sports Complex. I'm going to meet the individual that this whole complex is named after. But soon after meeting Mr. Lannon, I was put at ease. He was very supportive. And the relationship has developed from there, and I very much appreciate all your guidance that you've provided me. You're always a phone call away and able to provide me some support. If I have some questions on history, how did this come to be, you're always a helpful hand for that. I do appreciate as well our time sitting on the Sports Wall of Fame committee, and then just all the helpful advice that you pass along. So I definitely see you, Mr. Lannon, as a mentor to myself, and I appreciate that I've been able to get to know you over these past couple of years.
So on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Port Colborne, we're going to present Tom. Tom, you want to come up, please? How's the new knee? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Tom Lannon. For decades, Tom has been a dedicated and respected presence in our city, serving with integrity and a genuine commitment to the people of Port Colborne. Throughout a remarkable career with recreation, parks, and community services, he built lasting connections across every neighborhood, always greeting others with kindness and a willingness to help. Even in retirement, Tom continues to uplift our community through tireless volunteerism, boundless enthusiasm, and an unwavering commitment to making life better for all. He does not simply know people, he makes everyone feel seen, valued, and important. On behalf of City Council and the City of Port Colborne, we extend our deepest gratitude and admiration as we recognize Tom for a lifetime of service, leadership, and friendship that has truly shaped the spirit of our community. Signed, Mayor William C. Steele, City of Port Colborne, this 12th day of May, 2026.
Thank you very much, Bill.
This is, yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Greg, Councilor Aquilina, Councilor Bruno, Mr. Bowles.
Ms. Cooper?
I'll say Mrs. Madden, Char, Dave, Councilor Elliott, Councilor Frank, Councilor Tim, Councilor Ron, my old defense partner when we started the Mayor's Cup back in Sports Fest. Nobody scored when we were on the ice. We didn't get past it.
I'll swear to that.
Thank you. Anyways, Chief, nice to meet, Stephen, Eric, this nice white lady. Thank you very much on behalf of my family. This was very unexpected. I just do what we do. This is where we live. And Port Colborne's our town, our home. And the Valley Health and Wellness Center, I said it right, Valley. So I won't get heck from that. But this is pretty special, so I just thank you and appreciate that. And I thank you for having my back, but I also have, when you're in Port Colborne, you're in our town. And you go by what we do, and we do it right. So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, buddy. That was nice. Thanks. Say hi to Danny for me, buddy. Thanks. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks. Good to see Carm and Matt here. I know Tom's son Ryan works up in Kitchener at Wilfrid Laurier University, so I'm sure he's busy with his new career, new job up there. So saw those guys grow up since they were in diapers. Anyways, Councilor Bruno, I know you wanted to say something, so we'll let you go next.
Sure. I'll just do that from here, yes. Well, certainly I think everything I think that I would add has been said by Bill and Greg. And I take note of what Greg had said about a mentor to you. I think Tom Landon is a mentor to everybody. And if you really want to know what to do in life and you're in doubt, just ask yourself, what would Tom do? And if you know Tom and his family, you know you're on the right track. So, Tom, buddy, congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Anyone else? Councilor Bodnar.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Tom alluded to our prowess on defense. You know, we joke we were called the stone wall. Not because we were really good at defense, but we skated like we were kind of stones, so everybody went around us. So just throw that out there. Sorry, Tommy. So since Tom's retired from the city a few years ago, and I think often we bump up against things where, you know, there's all rules and regulations now, and rightly so, you know, everything's got to be done, but how often have I heard, geez, remember when we just asked Tom Just call Tom, it was done. Now I gotta fill out paperwork and do everything, so anyways, it was much appreciated. And I think that's it. Oh, yeah, so a knee replacement? So you giving up on the NHL now? Are you just making it? Yeah? Sorry, buddy, you had a chance, okay. That's it.
Thanks, Counselor. Anyone else? Okay, all right, we have item 7.2 is Canadian Niagara Power, their Port Colborne General Update. Jeff Hoover's here this evening. Jeff, come on up front. And Jeff is the regional manager. Oh, sorry, we have Christine Carmichael. Sorry, Christine, who's the Director of Corporate and Customer Service from Canadian Niagara Power, and they'll give us their update presentation to council. Thanks.
Sorry. All right, so for the agenda there, we're going to talk about storm preparedness, system reliability, Canadian Niagara Power, Port Colborne system investments, operating and maintenance programs, and customer communication enhancements. Storm preparedness, CNP meets with the City of Port Colborne in anticipation of major weather events, enhanced communications with the City of Port Colborne authorities, the MTO, fire departments, etc. CNP is improving communicating outage information and restoration times. Increased system hardening, our vegetation management program, our system upgrades, and aligning our construction standards with weather patterns. This slide here shows our system reliability with our customers affected, customer hours. We did it for 24 and 25 on the slide. This is reflective of our company itself, which is Port Colborne, Fort Erie, and Eastern Ontario Power inside of Gananoque. I did do a breakdown though for Colborne. So for customers affected in 24, Port Colborne 6,294, customer outages, or customer hours, sorry, 5,511. And in 25, 16,779 for customers affected, and customer hours 18,498. The majority of these are all weather, wind, lightning, wildlife. We still have the emerald ash borer infested with the dead trees that are still affecting our areas, and equipment failure. These do show outages, less major events or loss of supply. So system investments inside of Port Colborne. This is a program that we're working on right now. Currently based on 2024 peak load distribution, 75% of Port Colborne load is located on the west side of the canal. As a result, the power supply heavily relies on 4 feeders. So we have 4 feeders at the, 2 feeders at the North Bridge, 2 at the Middle Bridge, and currently nothing at the Clarence Street Bridge at the moment. We are in our plan over the next few years to establish new cables at the Clarence Street, improving our reliability on the west side of the canal. The Kalali substation, that's another one of our programs that we're working on at Port Colborne. It's an islanded substation inside of Port Colborne, in other words, no backfeed to it. And we have actually replaced all the bushings on both transformers and revitalized both of those, and actually just completed it this week. So that'll sustain the life for the next period between 27 and 29 while we complete the rest of that conversion on the west side of the canal, or sorry, east side of the canal. Operating and maintenance programs, vegetation management programs, substation inspection and maintenance, line inspection and maintenance programs. Currently, right now, we go in a 3-year cycle, and as you can see from there, we're currently in this year doing zone 2. I have one other thing I'd like to say before I switch over to Christine. As discussed with the City of Port Colborne staff earlier this year, Canadian Niagara Power Incorporated is filing our cost of service application with the Ontario Energy Board in May of 2026. The application will be available online on the Ontario Energy Board's website. We conducted a survey in early 2026. More than 9% of our customer base responded. Most customers responded favorably to the survey content and the project CMP presented. Proposals and application will be for January 1st, 2027 rates. Between May and the end of 2026, the OEB and interveners, customer interest group, will question the application proposals. Prior to the OEB issuing a decision on the approved rates for 2027, the proposed rate impacts are a reflection of the updated cost to run the business. And I'll switch over to Christine now. Just there.
So I just wanted to take a couple minutes and talk to you about some of our customer communication initiatives. We're always looking for ways to improve the customer experience. So I'm going to focus on two initiatives, our live outage map, which was a really successful undertaking, and I think there's a lot of utilization of it, and our enhanced customer website. So our customer outage map, customers can locate it from our website, www.cmpower.com. It'll indicate real time where outages are located, how many customers are affected, the duration, and we've enhanced it to include estimated restoration times as well. So it's a really useful tool for customers during power outages, and something we're really happy to be able to provide to our customers. And I'd also like to remind customers to follow us on Facebook and X, especially during power outages, because there are up-to-date information about power outages in specific areas. We've also enhanced our customer website. So if you go to our website, you'll see that there's a lot more information and a lot of valuable links and information for our customers. They can compare price plans because there's different pricing plan options for customers related to cost of power. There's a lot of information about electrical safety. Right now, we're focusing on staying 3 meters clear from overhead power lines, given it's springtime. People are getting back out into their yards, and there's links to the ESA. We provide resources for financial support for our customers. There's things like the Ontario Electricity Support Program and our Low Income Energy Assistance Program. And we also have information on the Save on Energy programs, which are of interest to all customers, residential, small businesses, and larger industrial customers as well. We've partnered with the IESO to market their program, so encourage customers to look at that information. And I have some brochures. I don't know if I could leave them with someone, maybe to put down in the lobby. That would be great. So that information is available. And then also, supporting our community, and CMP is proud to support our community. And in 2025, we raised just over $30,000 for the local United Way is one of the things we do, and of course, supporting the Canal Days festivals is another event we support. So those are our enhancements that we've done to our website, and we continue to do that and seek information from our customers through our annual surveys and outreach to see what's important to them and how we can continue to improve that customer experience. And that concludes our discussion. Any questions?
Great, thank you. Questions? Councilor Bruno.
Thank you, both presenters. When I read over your report, just so council knows, I called CNP because I was concerned that the one slide didn't do the context for Port Colborne like it did the whole distribution system. So how do we know? And to their credit, and what I've watched through the years since we did the lease sale with you guys, you pivoted quite well and quickly. So thank you for reacting to my call and putting it into perspective, Jeff. If a lot of you don't know, Christine was around when we also did that deal, and she was customer service then, and I understand she's risen through the ranks over the years. So
I still have customer service.
Yeah. So I want to thank you through the years for customers that I've had that complained. Back then we had the control room number too, when we used to call that, which probably wasn't the right perspective. But thank you for being able to respond. I know as a counselor, I can attest to the fact that whenever I've had a question, it was promptly answered, and for constituents, it was properly answered. So just wanted to thank you for that through the years. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor. Anything else? Councilor Danch? Microphone?
So through you, Mr. Mayor. So let's go back about 4 or 5 months. We had that major power outage. Everybody was out well in Port Colborne. It was huge, right? There was no information available. Nobody could get anything. Personally, I drove to the fire hall and I could get no information there. That was a major thing. 911 was down. Like, how do we explain something like that? I realized there was something got cut at a fire or something like that in Welland, but it was like the whole city, everything was black. So any explanation on that one?
That was the loss of supply from Hydro One. That was actual fire on a transmission pole owned by Hydro One over by, I believe, Ellenberg substation. So it wasn't a CNP outage itself. Everybody was out because of a loss of supply from our hydro supplier. I know that Hydro One probably did the same similar messaging, which they have to do on their website, similar to what we did. And I assume that we had our...
We did do messaging, but whether or not customers could maybe access some of it during it might have been a question, might have been an issue, but we did have messaging out there to explain what it was.
There was nothing available on iPads, internet, phones were down, everything was down. I say 911 was down, and that's not supposed to happen. So I just kind of wonder, like, that's huge. I mean, I have a natural gas generator on my home. I had my own issues, but I just think, like, holy cow, like, for that to happen, like, you wonder, with all the stuff going on in the world today, and you're outside at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're thinking, like, what's going on?
That's a good point.
That's my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor. So Jeff and Christine, with regards to what we're doing here in Port Colborne, you know, we've got the new Asai Kase plant, we've got Young Bunzlauer expanding, we've got an expansion coming to Allied Marine. We've got about 8,500 homes somewhere on our desks here at City Hall in different phases. Basically, tomorrow, developers could come in and really pull about 2,500 permits to start building homes. We know what you guys have done since the lease and the purchase of Port Colborne Hydro now into CNP. We've been speaking with the minister plus the ministry and Hydro One, Ontario Hydro, like everybody that's involved to bring more power to Port Colborne. I would think, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but I think we need to hear it here, is your advocacy work with regards to this, not probably just in Port Colborne, but even Fort Erie, where you're doing a lot of work down there and some of the expansions and new businesses going on. So can you give us an idea of what kind of advocacy work you're doing, either in conjunction with municipalities and businesses to the upper levels so that we can start seeing greater power coming down here?
Yeah, actually, in regards to working with these large customers, I mean, we are currently in the process of working with all of those large customers that you spoke about. I think there's 7 or 8 inside of Port Colborne that we're currently working with. We did meet with City of Port Colborne representatives in February inside of our office there, and at that point in time, we discussed the power options and what's required inside of Port Colborne. We've met with a lot of these customers discussing what their requirements are. Hydro One itself currently is at the moment expanding their transmission system. I mean, you see that there's a double 230 line that's supposed to be built down into Welland, into Ellenberg, and then increase the capacity coming into Port Colborne. We have available at the moment for certain things, but there are limits to what we can do until Hydro One gets that expansion into our area. So we are working with Hydro One and working with the customers that are looking for power requirements in Port Colborne and Fort Erie.
Great, and I appreciate that because we're all doing advocacy work. I'm glad you're right there with us because not just only the minister, but those involved in producing the power, specifically coming out of Niagara Falls and other areas around the region, getting it down here. You know, and our understanding is Crowland Station's gonna be rebuilt in the next short term. I mean, when we got into, on council, when I became mayor in 2018, we were able to move Ontario Hydro to take the Davis Street Station from a 2028 project, and the ribbon was cut about a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. So getting that up, and I'm sure that helps you guys, because everybody would point their finger at CMP, but a lot of times it wasn't CMP, it was the Davis Street Station which was causing problems. So I think we need to thank you, and you've been a good partner for us all this time. Councillor?
Thank you, Bill. Sorry I didn't ask this at the beginning. Jeff, I know that at one time, you know, Port Colborne's been sometimes in the unenviable position of being at the end of the line. We've just witnessed it with water, with the new tunnel going under the canal. You know, all this time we were one source feed, right? If that pipe under the canal breaks, the east side has no water. It'd be a catastrophe for months. I know at one time there was talk of connecting us to Fort Erie for that kind of line back to Port Colborne for redundancy. So right now it's one way in. I know that would be a mammoth cost undertaking. Do you have any idea what that would be to link up as a backfeed to Port Colborne? And should we be really thinking about advocating for that as the next step? Because, you know, having one route in is not healthy, I don't think.
I can say in both situations inside of Fort Erie, we obviously have one way in too. We have one line that comes in from Hydro One from Niagara Falls. There, when they did the expansion of the Davis Street Station, Hydro One, we did have the second line rejuvenated in the Port Colborne, which made the reliability a lot better from Hydro One. I can't speak to if in the future CNP would do any kind of transmission work, tying in our 115 line back in with Hydro One in the Port Colborne. Unfortunately, our previous owners, let's say at Canadian Niagara Power inside of Fort Erie, envisioned a different voltage. So we run on a different voltage inside of Fort Erie than you do inside of Port Colborne. So tying the two together really isn't a doable thing. But I think the expansion of Hydro One, knowing now all the power requirements inside of Ontario and their fast-paced track to get it here, I think is going to be a great thing for everybody.
Thank you. CAO?
Thanks, Mayor. It's not normal that I jump in on a presentation like this, but I just had to say thank you for the work you did last year on West Street. I know it's not easy sometimes when you're two public, non-public entities, and you're I guess public on the market and we're public as a municipality, but your ability to work as a partner and in tandem, and you're building on leased land that's owned by the Seaway and all that. It was not an easy project, and like it looks great. It really does, and you came to the table, even put money into the project to help the city get it done. So I just want to say really thank you, and I know working with Public Works on it, they were just really impressed with your team and all the work that you did to help us get that done.
For sure. And actually, you know, it was a great joint project for CNP with the city of Port Colborne because of doing our investments in the Port Colborne for upgrading plant inside of Port Colborne and hide our upgrades in with the relocation of the plant on West Street, which was a win-win for both of us, I believe.
Great, thank you. Further questions? Seeing none. Jeff and Christine, thank you for coming out again. We look forward to seeing you in the future and continually partnering on whether it's a project within the city of Port Colborne or advocacy work for getting the power that we need to not just our residential community, but the expansion of our commercial industrial. Thanks again.
Thank you. Where can I leave the pamphlets? Is there
The clerk's department right in front of you.
Thank you very much.
So next we have the Niagara Transportation Plan 2051 update. We have Diana Morielli, Director of Infrastructure Planning and Development, and Jill Stephen, Associate Director of Infrastructure Planning for the Niagara region, to give a presentation on transit. Ladies, welcome. Good to see you again. I think we saw this not too long ago, didn't we?
You did, yes.
At the region, yes, that's what I'm saying. I did, yes. Well, I'm sure my council was tuned in that day on the WeeStream, you know. So, Go ahead.
So good evening, Mayor Steele and members of Port Colborne Council. I had the pleasure of coming here a bit early to watch my son's soccer team play Lakeshore. Blessed Trinity unfortunately lost 2-0, so congrats to your Lakeshore Catholic Secondary School. My name is Diana Morielli, and alongside with me is Jill Stephen, Associate Director of Infrastructure Planning at Niagara Region. And we just wanted to thank you for the opportunity for allowing us to present here tonight at Council. We are currently visiting all 12 municipalities across Niagara to do our roadshow for the Niagara Transportation Master Plan that we're starting off. So Jill is going to go through most of the slide deck and really outline all the details. I just thought I would introduce the project and talk about what the purpose of the presentation is. So again, we're going to be talking about the Niagara Transportation Master Plan. The presentation scope is twofold. We are going to be talking about the project itself, the scope, and our engagement plan. And we're also going to be seeking your input on future transportation needs to best support your residents, your employers, as well as visitors to 2051 and beyond. But I'd also like to note that the CAOs across Niagara are also currently undertaking a governance and service delivery review. And for us, it's important to note that no matter what happens during that governance and service delivery review, we still need the work for the Regional Transportation Master Plan to occur, because the TMP will help to identify and define the transportation network that connects Niagara's communities to one another, and also how it connects the broader region to our neighbors, our neighboring borders on the US and the city of Hamilton, and towards the Greater Toronto area. So this work is also critical to understand what investments and improvements are needed to support trade, tourism, economic activity, and the daily mobility needs of residents, employees, and businesses across to 2051. So I'll now turn it over to Jill so she can provide more details.
Thank you. So building on what Diana said, the regional road network plays a major role in how people and goods move every day in Niagara. It connects people to destinations, it connects communities, and it links the region to other municipalities and markets in Ontario and beyond through its connections to the provincial highway network and to rail, marine, air, and our border crossings. So the regional network here is shown in yellow. But the regional network is really only one component of the broader mobility network. The 2051 Transportation Master Plan will focus on the regional network in terms of its recommendations, but the plan also needs to support the regional network's role in the broader context of the transportation system across the local, regional, provincial, and federal levels. And each level plays a different role in how people and goods move. Generally speaking, because there are always some exceptions, the local networks enable the neighborhood and daily travel needs, those trips to school, the trips to parks, shops, and services, and they feed into the regional roads. Often these are the 2-lane streets with lower speed limits, sidewalks, cycling connections, on-street parking. The regional network focuses on connecting communities. It includes the main corridors that support goods movement and regional vehicle transit and active transportation travel and mobility across Niagara. Typically, regional roads are the higher volume arterials and with space for transit, cycling, and goods movement along key corridors. The provincial network then supports the longer distance travel through the highway system, along with GO Transit that move people and goods between Niagara and the rest of Ontario. And then the federal network, which is about the national and international movement, the Welland Canal, the border crossings, airport and freight rail all shape Niagara's role in trade and tourism. And as we develop this transportation plan, our focus is on the regional network's role, but we will stay very closely connected to what else is happening across the rest of the networks and across the rest of Niagara. Niagara Region's first transportation master plan was completed in 2017 and had a 2041 horizon. It's 10 years old now, and it's time for a new plan. This plan will look 10 years further out, so it looks to 2051, which is the name, but it will be completed in 2027. The Transportation Master Plan provides the direction and that first level analysis of our transportation needs as we grow. So looking ahead to what we need now and what we need into the future. It shows how projects fit together across the network, identifying where new infrastructure is required, and confirming how the different elements of the transportation system work together as a whole. The TMP ensures good planning by confirming that growth projects make sense for the regional network and by giving us the evidence we need to advocate for provincial and federal investments in transportation. The Transportation Master Plan is the high-level roadmap for future transportation projects. It sets the direction, but after this plan, there is often more work that's required, including detailed studies, design, construction, budgeting, and asset management to move the projects from the proposal stage in the Transportation Master Plan into implementation and long-term stewardship. It's important that we do transportation planning at multiple levels to reflect the different networks and responsibilities, but the plans, like the networks themselves, need to be connected. At a high level, the transportation plans at the local and regional level both identify infrastructure and projects to support different types of trips by different modes, but local transportation planning is often has a greater emphasis on supporting the trips within the community itself, placemaking, walking, cycling, and parking, whereas the regional transportation plan focuses at a bit higher level on the interregional trips and the broader networks to support driving, transit, goods movement, and cycling on the arterial roads. We're still at early stages of our transportation plan, so we have a draft vision statement at this point, and it will evolve based on the feedback that we receive during our phase 1 consultation, and then we will finalize that as we move out of phase 1 and the preliminary stages of the studies into the stages where we're developing the options and the recommendations. The vision is important because it frames all of the work that we're doing and guides us on how we will assess needs and evaluate the transportation options throughout the study. So this slide shows the general process and timeline for our work. As I said, we're calling it the 2051 plan because that's our planning horizon, but you'll see that the project will wrap up at the end of next year. We're currently in phase 1, and in this phase, we're identifying problems and opportunities, looking at how the transportation system is functioning, and confirming the vision and goals that will guide the rest of the study. At each phase throughout the project, we will have engagement with the public, with local municipalities through your staff teams, with other agencies, other interested parties, and regional council, and we will wrap up at the end of next year. So our current work is on reviewing those existing conditions when it comes to the different modes of transportation and different networks. We're updating our travel demand model so that we can assess system performance now and with the different horizon years to 2051. We're completing a policy and jurisdictional review to get best practices and to align our plans, and we're preparing for our first round of public consultation. As we move into phase 2, we will be developing the different alternatives for the network, and we will be focusing on active transportation, goods movement, road network itself. Phase 2B, which is our last phase, identifies the preferred network and develops the implementation strategy, including a 10-year capital program. As part of that work, we have a number of supporting deliverables, such as the prioritization framework and the road rationalization framework that will be included in our final report. We have a number of different engagement processes and approaches planned throughout the study. Right now, we are preparing for our public information centers. Our website is live. Our email address is live to gather feedback. And we will be engaging with the public, municipal staff, other interested parties through our public information centers, meetings, presentations, and later in the study we'll include an online survey. We'll also be reporting to our Transportation Strategy Steering Committee and Public Works Committee at key milestones. The themes on this slide reflect some of the comments that we've heard in our presentations to Transportation Strategy Steering Committee, Public Works Committee, and Council. We have not yet formally been out to the public, so we will be monitoring this, revising it as we collect that feedback as well. Some of the common themes that we've heard include the importance of coordinating with provincial agencies and other partners, ensuring that the businesses have a voice, and are engaged directly in our discussions, increasing the engagement overall, strengthening our goods movement and active transportation planning, and exploring new mobility options. So over the next few months, as Diana mentioned, we'll be presenting to each of the local councils, and tonight is our second of those presentations. Our first public information centers will be held in the first full week of June, June 9th and June 10th. We will have 2 public information centers at each round of the project. We're meeting with staff from all the local municipalities throughout the project, and we're starting to meet with the technical agency groups this Wednesday. And so I too would just like to say thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening, and we'd be happy to take any questions you might have about the plan.
Great. Thanks, Jill and Diana. Questions from council? Councillor Bruno?
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I'm going to concentrate perhaps maybe on the current state of affairs with the existing road network that the region has in Port Colborne. And I'm going to come at it from the angle of some of the things I think that we as a council have been kind of shocked by when it came to water and wastewater. And that's not a reflection on you guys. You're an entirely different department, but I want to see if there's an analogy here. We've been kind of shocked that on water and wastewater, the lack of information sharing and condition of the infrastructure in Port Colborne when it came to water and wastewater. And us having a much higher level of data, CTV cameras, all of this kind of stuff. And so I'm going to ask you the question as it pertains to the road network that you have in Port Colborne. Are you adequately being able to pass on to our Public Works Department, like culverts, bridge structure testing, like, Miller Road back in there, the testing of the roads we have that are under your control, and including, the forecast for replacements and things like that. So how would you, rate that interaction and sharing of data, stuff that we have very well documented for our own roads, but, as a partnership, it's like water and wastewater. If we fix stuff, but the region stuff is leaking, it's really kind of a sad situation. And I'm trying to find out if that's something that's unique to them or it's existing with roads as well. Go ahead.
Through the mayor, thank you for the question. Our operations team and asset management team has that information, so that's not something that's accessible to us, but I do know that our CAO is working really closely with your CAO, and I believe the information request would be going through our CAO to the city of Port Colborne, from my understanding.
So then just to isolate it to you guys, do you have all that data and maybe it just hasn't been presented to us, or if we ask for it, is it there? Because on the water and wastewater side, it was two-pronged. They had some, they didn't have others, and it was hard to say when they were going to have it. So I'm going to really switch that to, do you have adequate information for your own needs on the Port Colborne Road network that's the region?
Yeah, for the transportation master plan, we're in the beginning stages of the work and the data gathering. So we really focus on the model. I can turn it over to Jill to speak more eloquently to what goes into the model. I think this is where we do have meetings with our technical advisory committee as well, which includes Port Colborne staff and other area municipalities, where we do share information in regards to the road network, in particular in regards to the local network. We also share information. I know in the past when we have
purchased the modeling data because we do outsource that to, unfortunately, we don't have modelers on staff. It's a very hard position to hire for, and so most municipalities across Ontario outsource that work to transportation firms. And so we've purchased the model for the entire region of Niagara, but we've also cost shared that with the local municipalities, so the local municipalities would have a proportionate share to that model and access to that model. So we do share that model to the area municipalities. I don't know if there's anything further.
So with this project, the TMP itself, we're focused more on the growth projects. So we're kind of looking forward in terms of, do we need to make expansions or changes to the network to accommodate the volume of trips that will be coming. But we will continue to work very closely with your staff and the staff of the other municipalities to understand current needs that might need to be fed into the model. And we are also working with our own staff in terms of asset management to understand where condition may influence how we plan for the future network as well.
And I'm going to go to our Director of Public Works, but it sounds like, you know, if you're looking at tomorrow, there might be somebody else at the region that we should be talking about who's looking at today for those kind of reports. So, like, what influence do you have here to commit to that level of detail that we might ask? Is that something in your purview, or you'll be taking back questions from us today?
Thank you for the question, and I'm glad that you brought that back up. I think that we're going to take back the feedback, and that's why I'm scribbling down some of the questions that you're asking to take back to our team, and we will circle back with the council here on that information request.
To round that out through you to Mr. Szapowski, Director of Public Works. So you've been familiar with the saga with infrastructure on water and wastewater. How would you rate your needs on the 25 kilometers or so, I think it was the last I'd heard, of regional road networks and bridges and substructure along those roadways? Like, where are we at with getting that information to date, and what do you still need?
Yes, through you, Your Worship. So we have made a couple of requests to the region for condition data, which is essentially what I believe you're asking for on the different road networks and appurtenances within the road network. So I'm, based on your first question of if they have it or don't have it, I'm fairly confident that they do have the information. They would have Ontario Structural Inspection Manual inspections on their bridges and culverts, and they'd probably have pavement condition index ratings. I would assume with a very high probability that's available. We have requested that, but they have denied giving that to the city of Port Colborne at this time. Like the presenters were saying, our CIOs are talking to each other right now to try to transfer some of that information, but that's where it currently sits.
So again, I'm not pointing it at you, but you know, there you have it. And I don't know, I'm stunned always when I hear some of these stories that, you know, our roads cross your roads. We work together probably practically, but, you know, we're paying you for the regional roads. I think we should have the right to that access and timely. And I don't know how long this is gone on, but I think it needs to stop. And quite honestly, I don't think it should have to. Fundamentally, this is knowledge that we've paid for and should have. And if it has to escalate to a CAO to CAO level to provide what should be a desire to share information if we're truly working together, then I don't think it speaks well of this relationship. And I'm hoping things will improve, but I'd like to ask you to at least respond back to us with some dates when we can have all that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Botter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the presenters. Do you or will you be dealing with the I guess it could be on demand or mobility. The small units that pick up patients that going to dialysis, is that under your umbrella or is that something else?
Through the mayor, that's not under our purview. However, we are going to be working with Niagara Region Transit and discussing what their master plan update was and how we incorporate that into the regional network. We have already heard from regional council a lot of those similar questions in regards to the expansion of Niagara Region Transit to communities in southern Niagara and what that would look like. So I know that is on the horizon, or that Niagara Region Transit is aware of those requests and are continually planning for the future and what that growth in order to anticipate. We are going to take down the comment, and when we do meet with Niagara Region Transit, we will bring that forward to them as well.
So I'm just going to throw this out there because the more people know about it, the better, and you can pass it on. But Monique and I have been dealing with one of our people in Ward 4, and who goes for dialysis. But when they switch to the new company, they don't work on holidays. Well, the dialysis is open on holidays. And these people got to get to that dialysis. They're kind of just left out there to find their own. So if you stumble upon that, or you're talking to somebody that can help fix that, I'd just like you to pass that on. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor. Further questions? So a couple things I picked up on this, what you presented today. Governance, you mentioned governance, and the times are changing. We all understand that, and I think you see some of the frustration at our end here. Second one was road rationalization, and you brought that up in the one slide with regards to different comments you've heard. So those two are hand in hand with regards to governance and road rationalization. City of Port Colborne, about 22, 23 years ago, Councillor Bodner, Councillor Bruno, we took back the majority of our roads in Port Colborne, and I'm sure you guys are well aware of that because of what was going on. One thing we never did receive was the credit for those roads. So what we were paying then for a larger number of roads, we continue to pay today. So again, but we weren't going to argue in those days because we felt we could still do it. We could do, as our staff would say, a better job than the region. They both do good jobs, believe me. I'm at both levels, so I can say that. They both do good jobs. But on a few questions I've heard, or answers to questions I've heard from the councillors, is one is about condition. Now, whether it's condition, road condition, bridge, culverts, railway crossings, anything to do with the regional roadside. I just want to confirm, within your report and what you're going to move forward with, aside from just Port Colborne, really across the region, all these conditions are going to be talked about and at a good in-depth portion of this report so that it gives, when it comes out, which is, I believe it'll be obviously after the next election. So you're going to be dealing with 12 mayors at that time, and however the governance structure works and continues to work moving forward over those next 4 years. That'll be in there for those decision makers to look at, as far as this is what we have, this is our condition, these are changes we're going to need to make based on population growth, commercial industrial growth, and so on. Whether it's new roads, widened roads, things like that. So, but all that condition across Niagara will be included in a very good depth report.
So I'm going to answer that in a few different,
Sure.
break it down to a few different parts. The majority of the condition assessment and condition reporting work happens through our asset management plan and our asset management group. We work closely with them, and the asset management plan is one input into the transportation master plan. The primary focus of the master plan is to look at the infrastructure needs going forward. 2036, 2051 are our primary horizon years, and we sort of break it down between that to identify the growth-related infrastructure that will feed into our development charges background study. But oftentimes, some of that infrastructure that's needed for growth is not just brand new roads or brand-new road corridors. It's improvements to existing corridors to add lanes or to add bike lanes or to make intersection improvements. So through that, we will need to understand the condition that the road is in now, bridges, et cetera, to help inform the decisions that we're going to make or the recommendations we're going to make about enhancements, extensions, et cetera, to the networks. So looking at a bridge, for example, an opportunity to add bike lanes or add active transportation infrastructure to a bridge might be different if that bridge is in a condition where it's about to be rehabilitated versus one that we just rehabilitated 5 years ago. So this won't be the project that does the in-depth analysis and in-depth reporting on condition. That will come through asset management, but it is certainly an input into that so that it can form all the recommendations.
Yeah, so, and I'm glad you said it that way because, because I sit down there, I understand the different departments are gonna have a hand in this, but you're still gonna have something in there from that department on that condition, because as you mentioned on a bridge, I mean, if you've got a single lane bridge, and then when you come to the end of your report and it's dropped on our desks, the fact is, well, there's a single lane bridge that goes down Road A, we're suggesting that this be a 4-lane road as we move forward. Well, then the whole decision making on whether we repair the bridge, replace the bridge, or take it right away and add a 4-lane bridge. I mean, those decisions need to be made. But you got to know where you stand today, so what we stand tomorrow. Because again, I don't think good decisions can be made without knowing where we are today. So I'm glad that that's going to be part of this moving forward, so that we can really tackle how roads and all the infrastructure surrounding roads, what goes over, through, under, everything else that has to do with it works. So I'm glad that's going to be there. Second question here is with engagement with the Ministry of Transport with regards to Highway 140 from Highway 3 in Port Colborne to Main Street East in Welland. Advocacy work, are you talking with the Ministry in St. Catharines with regards to what they're doing there? Right now we're going through upgrades to the section where the Asahi Kase plant's going in there I think it's next week. What was it, Councillor, when we were there today? Turning lanes are being put in. I think it's next week or the next few weeks. So that'll be a 2 or 3 week project that there'll be slowdowns on that. Are you in discussions with the ministry with regards to, particularly in our case, that highway, us in Welland, quite frankly, that highway and how it will be a part of that master plan?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We are meeting with the Ministry of Transportation. It's important that we understand what's in their current and immediate plans and what's in the future plans in order to build out our model to properly reflect the road network now, to reflect what we'd like the road network to look like, and to help advocate for so infrastructure improvements or new infrastructure based on the different modeling results with and without that. So yes, we're definitely speaking with them.
Perfect.
Sorry.
And just to add to that, again, MTO has different silos, and I think when we all work together to make sure we were able to land AK to the city of Port Colborne, we did see some of that frustration when one section of MTO did agree to a driveway onto the 140, and then another section that was doing some other corridor planning did want to pause that, but we were able to work through it. So I think it's really important as we work through the TMP to make sure we're talking to everyone across MTO, not just the folks at St. Catharines, but those that are also doing that corridor planning. It used to be called the Mid-Pen and GTA, whatever it's going to be called in the future, just because that is really important for Southern Niagara and the rest of Ontario.
Definitely. Appreciate that. Further questions then, Council? As a truck driver, I'm sure you have all kinds of answers and questions to that.
No, but I'm glad that that name just reared its ugly head, the Mid-Pen corridor, because it's sorely needed, and it has been talked about for the last 20, 30 years. And I guess another road, which would be, I guess, the region purview, Victoria Avenue.
is becoming extremely well-traveled. With Welland and Pelham and Fonthill building west, a lot of the traffic is going up there at speeds that that road was never designed to carry. Some people get frustrated when you're not going 95 kilometers an hour in an 80 zone. I've seen that happen more than once. So is that a specific study that will be done on how are we getting people north to south out on the west side that aren't going to take the 406? Because it seems to be sorely lacking direct transportation or direct route from the south up to the QEW.
Thank you for the question. And having driven on Victoria, I know exactly what you're talking about, the speeds that people come to get to Pelham or even Welland, or even folks that will take that route to come to work in Port Colborne. We are also doing an individual environmental assessment for a north-south crossing for the escarpment. It won't go all the way to Victoria, but we are looking for a new escarpment crossing. Actually, Jill's team is leading that, so we just have the terms of reference that were approved by the province, and we are now going to be issuing an RFP in the next couple of months to start that project in order to secure what that new corridor is going to be. Right now, it's anywhere between Mountain Road and Grimsby to, I can't remember if it's Mountain and Lincoln. And so that's the study area. We're trying to refine that scope. We recognize that's a very expensive project, but we know we need to have that connection to Smithville as well as to the QEW and what that's going to look like. So we just want to narrow down that corridor because there's a lot of uncertainty within those communities of where's this corridor going to do? Should I expand my winery? Where should I? So it's really important for us to do that work over the next 3 years. We also know it's going to be pretty controversial, but it's work that needs to be done.
I'm glad you brought that project up, because actually I was talking to a counselor from Lincoln today with regards to that project, and his comment was, we keep going to the government asking about, hey, can we get some money for this? Well, quite frankly, the government's looking at us, and I agree with what he said, is the fact that, well, give us a plan. We don't have that plan, so it's good to see that that plan's moving forward, because this is a region-wide project that you guys are doing, so I do say kudos to that, and yeah, the more information that you can give us as counselors that we can take, and when we're doing advocacy, whether it's at Roma, Good Roads, or AMO, it helps, and even just in our regular conversations with this government in Ontario, and talk about projects within Niagara. I mean, it's not only us that we talk about projects from Port Colborne, but it's Niagara-wide because of my position, obviously, as mayor and a regional councillor, so it's good to see that that's finally coming to fruition. And it won't be easy, we know that. But again, it does need to be done. Smithville knows that, both Lincoln and Grimsby know that, and a new route needs to be looked at. So I appreciate that. With that, any further questions? Seeing none. So what we're going to do here is, I'm glad you jotted some things down to take back with you. And we know that our CAO and the CAO of the region, Mr. Tripp, is working with the 12 municipalities. Again, governance. It's a new day. We need to move forward. As I said to a lot of people last week at the Great Lakes Conference, because the buzz about governance in Niagara was heard far and wide. Our U.S. counterparts, specifically those from the Buffalo area and even Windsor, Detroit area, hear about this. And my comment to all of them is that in this whole situation of governance, you're either going to be left standing on the platform, or you're going to be on the train moving forward with changes in governance, because it's happening. So I'm glad you guys are doing this. So whatever you need to get back to us, we'll make sure that Mr. Shapowski sends any information to you. If it's not you directly, please let Steve know. Submit it over to whoever is responsible, and I'm sure Brian will be working with Ron and the other things. So we really appreciate you guys coming out tonight presenting this. Good information, and this is a good project for us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Okay, on to the mayor's report. So May marks Building Safety Month, a time to recognize the vital role building safety professionals play in protecting our homes, workplaces, and communities. And this year is especially meaningful as we celebrate 70 years of the Ontario Building Officials Association, the OBOA. 7 decades of leadership, education, and advocacy in support of safe, code-compliant construction across Ontario. It was formed on March the 6th of 1956. The Ontario Building Officials Association was established with the goal of creating an association to strengthen building inspection standards in Ontario, promote uniform regulations and proper legislation, and support the education and professional development of building officials. The OBOA continues to evolve to support the industry as it changes. The City of Port Colborne is inviting residents to review and provide feedback on its draft Community Health and Wellness Action Plan, building on an extensive community input gathered over the past year. The draft action plan reflects what the city has heard from more than 2,000 survey responses, public sessions, and community conversations. It outlines a local approach to improving access to care, strengthening services, and supporting long-term health and wellness across Port Colborne. This phase of engagement focuses on confirming priorities, refining proposed actions, and ensuring the plan reflects the needs and experiences of the community. Residents are encouraged to review the draft Community Health and Wellness Action Plan and share their feedback through a range of engagement opportunities available from May the 5th to July the 2nd of 2026. And the opportunities are our online survey at surveymonkey.com/r/PC Health. Paper surveys are available at the City Hall, Valley Health and Wellness Center, and the Port Colborne Public Library. And we have in-person open houses, May the 20th from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. right here at City Hall, May the 21st from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Valley Health and Wellness Center, June 24th from 2 to 6 p.m. at City Hall, and June the 25th from 3 to 7 p.m. at the Valley Health and Wellness Center. We will have virtual information sessions, and those details will be announced shortly. And information at weekly Friday Port Colborne Farmers Market, which started 2 weeks ago, and also available on our website at www.portcolborne.ca. Big thank you to everyone who tuned in last week as 610 CKTB brought their roundtable road trip to Port Colborne. Great conversation with host Steph Vivier on the momentum building in our community, from economic development and tourism to the museum, water rate efforts, and progress on healthcare, including the new healthcare committee. And I know the CAO was on a panel with myself and Renee Bisson, but I don't think you really said anything, did you? At that. Yeah, I know you did, but both Renee and I took a lot of healthcare questions from Steph. And Madam Clerk, this one's for you. Wishing a very happy Municipal Clerks Week to all the amazing clerks across the province. Clerks wear a lot of hats, from supporting day-to-day operations and helping residents to working across departments, keeping things running behind the scenes. Today, we want to recognize and thank the Clerks Department at the City of Port Colborne for their hard work, professionalism, and continued dedication to our community. Learn more about Municipal Clerks Week and check out the resources from our friends at the International Institute of Municipal Clerks. Please note that the nomination period for the 2026 municipal election officially opened on May 1st. As election-related inquiries begin to increase, a reminder that the clerk's office is the primary point of contact for all election matters, including candidate nominations, voter information, and election procedures. And more information can be found at portcolborne.ca/votes. On May the 4th, we raised the Community Living Port Colborne Wainfleet flag to help celebrate Community Living Month. Community living associations across Ontario celebrate Community Living Month during the month of May each year, promoting true inclusion, empowering, and supporting people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to achieve their desired quality of life. For more information on community living in Port Colborne, just go to their website at portcolbornecommunityliving.com. And last week, I attended the 2026 annual conference of the Great Lakes and St. Lawrence Cities Initiative. It was held in Hamilton from May 6th to 8th. I served as the Ontario Caucus Chair until our annual general meeting. I've now taken a position on their board. The conference brought together more than 300 municipal, Indigenous, industry, and environmental leaders from across Canada and the United States to discuss the future of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence region and the development of the Fresh Coast Economic Corridor. I had the pleasure of participating as a panelist during the plenary session, Building the Fresh Coast Economic Corridor, which explored opportunities to strengthen the regional economy through strategic infrastructure investment, marine transportation and port development, supply chain resiliency, workforce attraction, and cross-border collaboration. Additional discussions highlighted the importance of regional collaboration to support sustainable economic growth, environmental stewardship, and freshwater protection, and partnerships with Indigenous communities and all levels of government to support the long-term success of the Great Lakes St. Lawrence region. Opportunities like these are important to highlight the strategic role that communities play, such as Port Colborne, within the Great Lakes economy, particularly through our marine assets, transportation connections, industrial growth opportunities, and continued investment in waterfront and employment land development. Just want to state, Great Lakes Basin, if it was its own country, it would be the third largest economy in the world. Over $600 billion of economic activity takes place between the St. Lawrence, between basically the St. Lawrence and Quebec, all the way through Ontario, all the way through the Great Lakes to the Midwest United States. Think about it, third largest economy in the world. That's how important this is for us. And it passes by our door every day. And as I say, every time that bridge goes up, a cash register somewhere goes cha-ching. Because it means money. It means moving product, it means jobs, and it helps development right here in the city of Port Colborne. This past weekend, I attended as a police service member, board member, the Niagara Regional Police and the City of Niagara Falls Police. It was the 54th annual tug of war. It takes place right in the middle at the border on the Rainbow Bridge in Niagara Falls. We have our full pipe and drum band. We start at the top at Oaks parking lot. We marched down Clifton Hill. It was amazing to see lots of people, especially those that in the stores come rushing out when you hear the pipe and drums coming with our two teams, a men's team and a women's team. In the 54 years, the men have only lost 4 times, last year being one of those. And our women's team, which they formed a team and invited the U.S. Niagara Falls Police side, and since 2018, our women's team is undefeated. So we marched back with the 2 trophies, and I do have to say, the first year I did this in 2019, we go marching down. You had to picture kind of a cloudy day, misty day in Niagara Falls, and all of a sudden we get to the bridge and it's just covered in fog, and all you can hear is this pipe and drum band coming, but you can't see them. And all of a sudden, just before the middle of the bridge, the fog cleared, and there's our huge band coming out with our dignitaries and our 2 teams. And the Niagara Falls Police Force comes across with 1 piper. No wonder we won the War of 1812. But this year, it was great because the Rochester Police Pipe and Drum Band attended and supported our good brothers and sisters of the City of Niagara Falls Police, and it was a great time had by all right in the middle of the bridge. I mean, even though in these trying times, these are events that still have to happen, and we still see eye to eye with our brothers and sisters across the Rainbow Bridge. They are good partners with us. We do a lot of work together between the NRP and the City of Niagara Falls Police. So congratulations to both those teams. It was phenomenal. And it's a 2 out of 3, guys. We won 2 straight in both rounds. It was pretty cool. I got an email today or a text today, and I had some questions over the weekend with regards to the announcement at the region last Thursday. I was away at the conference, so there was a $40 million provincial announcement with regards to numerous projects across the region. This happens every year, not necessarily the $40 million announcement, but many projects that are funded by provincial and federal levels of government. People are saying, why didn't Port Colborne get any money? I just want everybody to know, not every year do we have projects that are starting. Ours already started. We have a $150 some odd million water, wastewater, and new servicing tunnel going across the canal in the north end. But in the last year and a half, the City of Port Colborne has received $40 million. That's $40 million from upper levels of government for infrastructure projects right here in the City of Port Colborne. And also, we received $125,000 through the Ontario Ministry of Tourism for our Canal Days event in August, and that's the highest level that you can receive. So whether you're in the City of Toronto, the City of Port Colborne, or the Township of Wainfleet, the max you can get is 125. We received the maximum. So congratulations to our staff with regards to their application that went in on that, because those are dollars that go to a great event that we host every year. And this afternoon, I was privileged, along with Councillors Bodner and Councillor Bruno, to visit both sides of the canal where we're digging the tunnel, along with the Niagara Region and our contractors. The west, we'll call it West Pit, is approximately 20 meters deep. The West Pit actually is complete. That's where the drilling will start, and that drilling will go 850 meters across and meet up with a 23-meter deep pit, which we were there today with two huge machines at the bottom. They have about 3 weeks to go before they finish it, and they were home ramming all the rock out. It was amazing to see. They looked like dinky toys that far down. These were huge machines, two of them in there clearing out the rock, and then they pour a concrete ring, and then they put a concrete base, and there's a header that goes in where there's two lines that are going to come across the canal, and those lines are probably about 5 feet 10 inches tall. That'll go across and feed all the water and sewer lines. There will be, I believe, Steve, 1 or 2 redundancy lines for future expansion, one redundancy line for future expansion, or to bring servicing across, whether it be electrical for hydro, or it could be cable or fiber optics, whatever we need coming across. So that was pretty amazing today. We were there with a team from the region. We were there with a number of our staff, the contractors that are Rankin is doing a lot of the major work, and another company is doing all the boring of the project. So pretty cool. Yeah. And that ends my report. Any questions? Seeing none, Councillor Badaway is unavailable this evening. Does anybody have any regional questions? Or did we ask all our questions earlier? None? Okay, perfect. So under the consent agenda, under item 11, Councillor Bruno has lifted items 11.3D, which will be considered as item 12.1. 11.3C is 12.2. That's already been dealt with, Council, so we don't need that one, so it'll be the 12.1. Are there any other items to be pulled this evening? So if I could have Councillors Bruno and Aquilina move that Council hereby approves the listed consent items on May the 12th, 2026, that the consent items be approved and the recommendations as contained therein. All in favor? That's carried. So item 12.1 is the update on Mapleview subdivision in Westport Gardens. Traffic concerns 2026-74. If I could have Councillors Bruno and Danch move the Planning and Development Department report 2026-74 be received for information. Councillor Bruno.
Thank you, Worship. I'm sorry to the director. I didn't have a chance to get to you today about this or Monday. Very well received by the residents of Westport Gardens, and questions well answered. They're pleased with that. Just wanted to add, and I know Councillor Baggy has brought it up, if we're doing a survey of residents in an area, I'm just wondering, I know it doesn't probably pop first into mind, but could the ward councillors get the survey as well? So I had some people call me about the survey. I didn't know you would put the survey out, and so I said I would look into it. So it's a hard thing to remember that because we don't come up on the address list in that area, if you could send it out to us. And if I could just secondarily, one of the things I know that the residents there in Westport Gardens had asked for was, and it's not really, well, I guess indirectly it could affect the Mapleview subdivision, but they were hoping in the next round, considering you were surveying Westport Gardens, is if the whole 650 Main Street thing could be brought in, whereas people might do the opposite, right? And somehow, because there's not going to be apparently a turning lane in there, and there's some discussions about whether that's MTO, whether it will actually happen, but I'm just wondering if you could add in the next time around the whole 650 Main Street end, as it reflects to a cut through of Westport Gardens. Does it? I'm sorry. Thank you.
Staff, you're always set with that? You're okay? Further questions? Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Staff remarks. Madam Clerk.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. So similar to you, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize that last week was Municipal Clerks Week, an opportunity to celebrate the important work clerks and our teams do in supporting transparent local government. I'd like to sincerely thank our staff for their continued dedication, professionalism, and attention to detail. Our work often happens behind the scenes, but it is absolutely essential to the success of council and the organization as a whole. Thank you again to the team and to everyone for the continued collaboration.
Great. Chief.
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Shapowski.
Yes, through you, Your Worship. We wanted to thank everyone who came out to this year's first farmers market, where the city was able to give away 400 trees as part of our annual Earth Day tree giveaway. That was awesome. Our facilities team has just completed the Williams House renovations, which included installing new floor beams to make sure that the building was structurally sound for the future. We've also started the roof replacement at the Roselawn Center, so we ask that the public please bear with us during the time as we continue renovations to the building as a whole. The new child care center at 76 Main Street has officially broken ground with excavation to the foundation now currently underway. Seasonal traffic delineators have been installed, with new ones on Shirkston Road off of Highway 3 being added in the near future. The Tennessee Avenue gates are being planned for reinstallation this week based on them being damaged earlier this year, so those will be reinstated. Park washrooms and the HH&O splash pad will also begin opening this Friday for the long weekend. And lastly, I wanted to let the public know that our team has started adding furniture to the new pergola area on West Street, which will be completed by the end of the month. And it's already looking great, so I'd really encourage everyone to get out and take a good look at those fantastic canal views. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hatch?
No updates this week, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Councilors' items. I think Councilor Bodnar this week.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councilor Agolina and myself attended the dedication of the new Grace Church on Empire Road. If you'll remember, this was the church that burnt down a few years ago, and they've put up a beautiful building, and I think we could certainly feel the joy in there from the congregation as the dedication went on. And we did present a certificate that the mayor had sent. One other thing, Mr. Mayor, that's really concerning. On Lorraine Road, the vandals have cut the bell cable at least 4 times in 2 months on that road. And there is a doctor that lives out in that area on call, and the cell service in that particular area isn't great. And it was just by good luck that he didn't have any emergency calls that night because he was on call. So through your office, Mr. Mayor, can you check with the police and just see, people are really concerned down there for that many times that it's been vandalized. So if you could check into that, that would be great.
Great, Councilor. I will do that. We'll confirm that hopefully people out there are actually reporting this. That is important. I think a lot of us around this table have said that in the past, whether it's a phone call or even an online report to police. They should be reporting it, but we'll speak with Staff Sergeant Lishke tomorrow and just ask them how many calls they've had about this and have they caught anybody? I don't know. I haven't heard. Usually comes through us as board members, but I haven't seen that one. But it could have been part of a larger operation because we did actually, police arrested a number of people recently with these types of crimes from across the region. So I don't know if they're a part of this, but I'll certainly find out for you. But we will make sure the NRP is keeping an eye on this area. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hoyle.
Through the mayor, just Steve, I like the chairs on West Street. I saw that. I was asked when the pergola covers are coming, but I see they're working on lights. Is that what they're working on, lights out there?
Yes, through your worship. So right now, the team's putting those, the chairs in place. They're also moving the bigger planters to house trees in the future. And then next week, we're anticipating the arrival of new benches that'll actually sway between where the planters are right now. So those will be installed within the next couple weeks. There are some electrical upgrades that we need to make or fixes that we need to make within the concrete near the pergola. So that's going to be taking place underway over the next couple weeks. And then the shades are also going up as well over the next 2 weeks.
And people at home that are watching, the people that say no one comes off the boats, that's false, because I walk my dog there every day, well, except for today. We meet people off the boats all the time. They're in our stores, they're in the local businesses, they go downtown. They just admire my dog for some reason, and I've talked to a lot of people from out of this country, they're not even from the States, they're from Europe. So keep up the good work down there.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Danch? I'll leave you alone. Councillor Elliott? Councillor Bruno?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Today I received a phone call from a merchant on the island who inquired about, was it true that the city of Port Colborne is looking into paid parking in its municipal lots. I informed him that I had never heard that, past or present, and I'm just wondering, perhaps the CAO, if he could address that. I don't know if it's the official start of election season or what, but it's something that perhaps we can amplify here as to whether that is true or false, and put those merchants next to municipal lots at rest.
Through the mayor to the councillor and council, there's no plans for that. I think I'm also looking at the director of public works. I think that would be career limiting to bring forward to council with respect to paid parking.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Aquilina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to add on to Councillor Bodner's recap of Grace Church. It's a bit deceiving from the outside, and when you walk in, it's so large. Like the rooms are large. They have an upstairs. They have an elevator. They've really done a great job. And you can tell that they're so happy to be back. They thanked the Sherkston Community Center for housing them for a bit. And I can't think of the farm on Wilhelm where they ended up, where we met with the minister that time. Yes. So they were there just before they moved into the new place. So anyways, it was very energetic in there. It was great. My other point is to let everybody know that Councillor Bodner and I received an invitation to do the ribbon cutting on Friday for the ramp at Roselawn. It's complete, so we'll get the pleasure of doing that at 3:30. And then from 4 to 6, there's a private function for Roselawn members for the art auction. They get to have a private viewing before it's opened up to the public. So on Monday to Friday, it's open to the public to go in and view the art, or to go online and start bidding on the auction. So So that'll be exciting. And then Public Works, one, I noticed the speed flags or whatever they're called were erect today, so that was good. And I had received a phone call yesterday from somebody on Pleasant, and I know like further down towards the beach end, not far from the Capri restaurant. They still have concerns, and I don't think we have any of those deterrents down that way, if I'm correct. They're closer to Beach Road section. So I'm going to propose, and I know that in the past we've talked about that there has to be studies to demonstrate, but speed bumps, they seem to be the biggest deterrent for speeders. And I know just a little bit down on Michener, right by Rizzo's restaurant, I don't know if you've been there, but they have speed bumps. It's like a 30 or 40 kilometer range, and they're kind of like spit out, like split between the road. But it really slows people down, and they're permanent. And I know that's been an issue, and I don't know if, I don't know if fire has comments about them, like in terms of using the trucks on those speed bumps. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out and see if we can look at that again.
Steve and the chief, do you guys have comments?
Through your worship. So we do have some data that's come back through that area, and I know there's some perceived speeding in the area, but there hasn't been speeding based on the data that we've actually collected. So we do have a traffic calming policy as well that we typically follow. And one of the first thresholds you need to meet is having enough cars on a road to be able to justify moving to a scenario like that. And in this case, it doesn't justify going into that scenario because the volume is so low from that area. That being said, it's a traffic calming policy that the city currently has. That doesn't mean that council couldn't direct us to go in a different fashion as well too in different situations, but that could open us up to doing that in other areas as well throughout the city.
Okay, chief?
Through the mayor, a speed bump or speed hump wouldn't impede fire at all.
And Steve, and a lot of these speed bumps aren't what we grew up with, the big hump. A lot of them they go up, they stay flat for quite a while, and they go down. They're a lot easier on your car, but they do slow people down. I know in Pelham, the original ones on Haste, they were terrible. Like people bought, but now they've replaced them with ones that are flat on top for 2 or 3 feet. So I know there's better options today to help slow traffic down, but I know we have to follow warrants and the rules and regulations. But if you want to work with the counselor for that area, I would suggest that. Okay, is that all right, counselor? Good, thank you. CEO, I forgot you earlier. I apologize. Just confirming. Anything? No? You're all set. Okay. I know you've spoken earlier about a couple other things. So, anyways, notices of motion. Anyone have a notice of motion? Councillor Aquilina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Councillor Bodnar and I would like to jointly do this notice of motion. That I would like to provide a notice of my intention or our intention to bring forward a motion at the upcoming May 26, 2026 council meeting with respect to reconsidering resolution C-25-078 passed by council on April 15th, 2025 regarding the management of the city's waterfront road allowances.
Great, thank you. Bylaws, if I could have councillors Elliott and Danch move that the following bylaws be passed and acted as presented. Bylaw 74624626 and bylaw 74634726. Questions on the bylaws? All in favor? That's carried. At this time, we are going into closed session, and after we come out of closed session, we won't be going back to WeeStream. If I could have Councillors Hoyle and Bodnar move that council to now proceed into closed session at 8:22 p.m. under the Municipal Act 2001, subsection 2392I, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which if disclosed could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. Subsection 2392J, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, or financial information that belongs to the municipality or local board and has monetary value or potential monetary value. And subsection 2392K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board. 2393.1, a meeting of council or local board or of a committee of either of them may be closed to the public if the following conditions are both satisfied. 1, the meeting is held for the purpose of educating or training the members. And 2, at the meeting, no member discusses or otherwise deals with any matter in a way that materially advances the business or decision-making of the council, local board, or committee. Questions? All in favor? That's carried. We are now moving into closed session. We thank you for tuning in tonight. We thank those for coming here in person. Have a good evening.